Welcome to dry, sunny Brazil. Why is it dry? I'll explain later. So we're back for the good old short qualifying session leading into a 50% race. So none of that sprint race, reverse championship order, absolute chaos and carnage nonsense that we had last time out. But of course, who wants a purely straightforward Grand Prix weekend when you can go ahead and copy Pirelli and make the hard tyre so utterly useless that not a single team is even allowed to even look at the thing? So that's what we did. So the rules are simple. You are not allowed to put on a hard tyre at any point during the race, therefore forcing all of us to use the soft tyre and the medium tyre in the race. Now this does have some implications in qualifying as well. Because we're not allowed to use the hards, we'll have to save an extra set of soft tyres for the race. Which means instead of doing 3 runs or on fresh sets of soft tyres in qualifying, we're now only allowed to do 2 runs. However, the tyre wear is quite low here at Brazil, so it was very much possible to do 2 flying laps on 1 set of soft tyres and not really lose much time. Now in order to enforce this rule, the weather is also set to clear, so it can't rain. Now this here is my first flying lap. I was planning on doing 3 more flying laps after this one, but that didn't quite go to plan for reasons shown later. Otherwise, as a banker lap, this was looking to be a very good lap. I already had a feeling at this point that this was probably going to be the best lap that I'd done around this track yet, and indeed it was. I don't think I'd been able to do a 107.6 before around this track, even in practice. So I was very happy with that lap, but the pressure now to try and improve even more on that lap ended up becoming a bit too much for me as I messed up turn 1 not once but twice. This second attempt here though was done on fresh softs, and I continued to push, but that didn't go on much longer as I then invalidated the lap at turn 4 for going over track limits. So that was qualifying over for me. I didn't really think I'd be able to improve on a second run on that used set of soft tyres. I just didn't really have another good lap in me. So these are the qualifying results, and we'll go on to the race now. Now the strategy was quite interesting for that one, because for me I had always planned on doing a soft medium, start on the softs, get them out of the way, but there were quite a number of drivers on the grid that actually started on the mediums and then went medium soft. One of them was the pole sitter, Mango. So a decent start. We were definitely able to challenge Mango somewhat into turn 4. However, we're not out of the woods yet. We do still have to worry about David's behind. Or maybe not, as he's now gone deep into turn 8. So that's definitely eased the pressure on me somewhat. So I can just simply focus on looking after the tyres for now and not losing track of the 2 in front. However, during this entire first lap, Baby Boy has been making up numerous positions, and he's now right behind us, and he actually gets quite a good run out of that final turn. So I have to drain more of my battery than I was initially planning to, and I get a bit of a hurry up from him to get after the 2 in front. It is now the end of lap 5 and Big T and Mango are about to go side by side for the lead of the race, and I'm ready to pounce on any opportunity to gain a position. Although unfortunately I do go a bit deep into turn 1. I think I got caught out a little bit by some of the dirty air there, as well as braking slightly later than I thought I had. But either way, the two in front just have got too much straight line speed at this point, and I'm not able to get close enough to make any sort of move on either of them. However, it does mean that I'm now well and truly in the DRS train, and lap 7 I'm going to end up getting very close to Mango in turn 1. I felt quite strong on the brakes there, although it didn't work for me the lap before. This time around it did work for me, and I'm now close enough to put Mango under pressure, going for the inside into turn 4 on the brakes, but just not really having enough mid-corner support from the soft tyres to pull the move off. Even ended up sliding slightly wide there. So at this point the soft tyres are definitely starting to go away, but to be honest they didn't feel that bad. I was feeling quite confident on them. And at this point, Big T is definitely slowing up Mango to try and get me to overtake Mango, which I was aware of. But unfortunately, into turn 10, I just get a bit too tight on the inside, use too much of the curb, causes me to lose traction, have a half spin, and I end up losing positions to Baby Boy and David, although I am able to continue to fight with David, managing to re-overtake him around the outside of Jun Sao. And I'm also able to get a really good run up the hill, which keeps me safe for now, and also means I should be able to stay within DRS range of Baby Boy. Now at the start of lap 9 I was now close enough to try and go for a move on Baby Boy, although I did have a slight slide through the middle of the Senna S. But despite that, the DRS zone after the Senna S is very powerful, and I was still able to get alongside and even ahead into the braking zone for turn 4. But once again I get a slide mid-corner, and that allows Baby Boy to execute a very clean, very effective switchback. Now during this time David has pitted, so I know at this point he's probably undercut us, so I'm planning on staying out for one more lap, since if I can't defend against the undercut I might as well stay out as long as possible and build as much of a tyre delta as I can. And I can't really lose another position here since I'm already behind Baby Boy, so I might as well offset my strategy slightly and hope that comes to reward me later on in the race. So sure enough, lap 9, Baby Boy enters the pits, and he comes out behind Davids. So now, lap 10, I'm now going to come into the pits and put on the medium tyres, and also go down by one click on the front wing. So we are now going to be racing out of the pit lane. Already David has driven past, as well as Baby Boy, as well as James, who had gone for a very aggressive undercut, but the safety car has been called out, and here James slows down just enough for me to get him literally on the line exiting the pit lane. Obviously you have that line on the exit of the pit lane, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but that line determines what position you filter out into under a safety car or a VSC. And in this slow-mo, you can see that I passed Gems right on that very line. Now, I do believe the game uses the middle of your car to determine where the position of your car is for timing purposes. And I think the middle of my car was just ahead of the middle of James's car by the time we crossed that line. So the rest of the drivers in front of us who hadn't pitted yet did pit under the safety car and dropped back behind us. So at this point I need to get back past Baby Boy and Davids, although Davids now has a 10-second penalty. So even if I can't get past Davids, he will almost certainly drop back behind us at the next round of pit stops. So now I'm preparing for the safety car restart. And I do end up getting caught out here slightly. I didn't quite realize that Mango had released the field at this point. So I was now under a little bit of pressure from Gems behind. And again into turn 1, very strong on the brakes, nearly making contact with Baby Boy, but that is going to set me up beautifully for a run out of the center S. Looking for a move here to the inside of turn 4. I'm going to fake to the outside, then back to the inside, late on the brakes, but Baby Boy is even later, but that carries him wide, and that allows us to get a better exit and get him out of turn 4. Now lap 16, I think David's tyres were starting to fall away from him as I was able to put him under severe pressure at the end of the second sector. And even through the final corner, which is usually very tricky in the dirty air, I wasn't losing any time to him. So at this point we are certainly going to get the position with DRS. And David doesn't fight us very hard, he actually lets us go through on the inside. So we're now back up into P3 and I'm now going to try and put the hammer down and build a gap behind before Baby Boy can overtake Davids. At the end of lap 22, Big T entered the pits from second place. And Mango immediately responded, pitting the very next lap. So at this point I decided to go long again, just to try and get lucky with a safety car or just create a tyre deficit, so if there was a safety car after I'd pitted, I would then have fresher tyres with which to attack. Then on lap 25, Baby Boy behind pitted, but at this point I wasn't even worried about an undercut as he was 6.7 seconds behind at the time he made his pit stop. But at the end of lap 26 I entered the pits because of tyre wear. Also at this point it just wasn't really worth carrying on any longer on the set of tyres. I was starting to struggle to control the car, and also I was going to start losing a bit too much time.
That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Let's go.
Now on lap 28 there was one more hurdle thrown my way as the VSC was called out. So at this stage I definitely have to watch my delta and make sure I don't speed under the VSC, because that will give me a drive-through penalty and will rob me of a podium position. But thankfully I managed to stay under the delta all the way to the end and didn't get a penalty.
Green flag.
Now thankfully I did manage to set the fastest lap on lap 30, which is very nice because it gives me one extra point. So definitely very happy with that. Now I did try to improve on that fastest lap afterwards, but I wasn't able to. The tires were starting to go away, and if anything it cost me a lot more time because I was now fussing about recharging my battery, and then I was over pushing on some laps, making mistakes. So I definitely could have had a much stronger final stint if I didn't get stuck trying to improve on that fastest lap. But either way, no one else managed to take it away from me, and we come home in third place with the fastest lap. So very happy with that result, and even more happy for my teammate who managed to finish in 7th place, climbing up from P16. So a very good race from him. And these are the results. Otherwise, it was a very solid race, but not as exciting or as chaotic as the Chinese race. I understand that there was more action further down the field, but obviously having qualified at the front, I didn't encounter much of it. But in any case, thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time. Goodbye.